Now, for as much as I disagree with Mitt Romney on some of his past policy issues, I do think the one thing he gets in spades is the Middle East, and the current president doesn't seem to get it at all. He seems to think America is the source of the trouble there. Here he is at the UN blaming the stupid YouTube video for the attack that happened a couple of weeks. Now, this is important because what he's about to tell the world in the United Nations, he told you at first, and then his administration said, oh, that's not, and they had to admit that the video had nothing to do with it. But now, even though he said that to you, he's saying this to the world.
And that is what we saw play out in the last 2 weeks. As a crude and disgusting video sparked outrage throughout the Muslim world. Now, I have made it clear that the United States government had nothing to do with this video. And I believe its message must be rejected by all who respect our common humanity. It is an insult not only to Muslims, but to America as well.
Why is he apologizing for that video? It didn't cause the outbreak, and his own administration has now spent time backpedaling and getting away from that comment. Why would he go and reinforce it? He also spoke about slandering the prophet of Islam. Listen to this. Now, he says good things after this, but listen to what he says here at the beginning.
The future must not belong to those who slander the prophet of Islam. But to be credible, those who condemn that slander must also condemn the hate we see in the images of Jesus Christ that are desecrated, or churches that are destroyed, or the Holocaust that is denied.
Gosh, I would believe any of that if he had been to Israel, if he had spoken out about, excuse the language, the piss Christ art that the government helped pay for. I'd believe some of that. The churches that are being destroyed and burned down in Egypt, if he would have helped the Christians there. But he hasn't. This is a very strange soup here. And these are extraordinarily dangerous statements from this president. He is either incompetent, which I do not believe, or complicit, which I do. There are only two options really with him. The only thing he seems to do in the Middle East is to dump fuel on the fire. Now, Jimmy Carter, I think had a difference of opinion on the Middle East, and I think he was also incompetent. This guy is not. You will fully understand the statements that I have just made after seeing a special that we have worked now 8 months on, The Project. It airs tomorrow and Thursday on this network, not at 5 o'clock, because I wanted you to be able to be home with your family and with your friends to watch this. It has never been shown on television before. People risked their careers and I believe their lives to be able to give us some of this information. I want you to see this. I want you to invite everyone you can. The only way to stop it is to get this information out to as many people as possible. And all of it fits in. Everything you're seeing on TV this week, the Iranian president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, at the UN, he's already called for the elimination of Israel.
We don't even count them as any part of any equation for Iran. During a historical phase, they, the Israelis, represent minimal disturbances that come into the picture and are then eliminated.
Okay. He also tried to erase Israel's history, claiming that they've only come into the picture in the last 50 years or so. He's also reportedly planning on conducting a meeting with some Occupy Wall Street representatives. Wow, that would be interesting. I mean, if he would cozy up, the Islamists cozying up with the radicals or the communists or the socialists. Geez, where have I heard that before? You know, where they would work together against Israel and then against capitalism, and then they would try to overturn stability. And then the second phase would be that it would spread. It would cascade and then spread across the Middle East and eventually Europe and the rest of the world. Wow. I wish somebody would have said that. You know where I read this, by the way? The report came from the Weekly Standard, that they are going to meet with the Occupy Wall Street people. That's the Weekly Standard, ironically home to Bill Kristol, the guy who mocked that theory. His own publication is now confirming it to be true. Obama has also decided today, they announced quietly, that he was going to cancel his meeting with the Egyptian President Mahmoud Morsi. Now, This is the move, I believe, of a grand politician, clearly backing away from his stated policy and belief because he's in a battle for re-election. Two things come to mind that nobody in the press seems to be asking. You didn't even accept the invitation to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu, but you did with the Arab leaders? Why? Is it because you agree with much of the Arab world and you don't with Israel? I mean, because that would explain why you wouldn't have met with Benjamin Netanyahu in the first place. The guy's country is on fire. He's our closest ally. You won't meet with him, but you will meet with them. Shouldn't you get together with your best friend, get it together, and then go meet with them? And why aren't you doing the meeting now? I mean, everything is falling apart over there. It's all directed to Israel and America, the two buddies, the two amigos. Why wouldn't you meet? Obama's policy has always been diplomacy solves everything. If you're going to try diplomacy, now's the time to do it, old sport. Paul Ryan said it looks like Iran 1979. Do you remember what that looked like? Familiar,
Turn on the
isn't
TV,
it?
And it reminds you of 1979 Tehran, but they're burning our flags in capitals all around the world. They're storming our embassies. We've lost 4 of our diplomats.
It is worse than 1979 is his point. Iran wasn't on the brink of nuclear weapons. They are now. Anti-Israel sentiment wasn't globally accepted, and that's the way the world is heading. The entire Middle East is falling apart at the seams, so much more than 1979. 1979, we were headed towards the Mideast peace process. It was the anomaly of Iran that stood up. The economy is even in worse shape now. Governments are just a little better at masking it. Morsi said we have to accept the Arab world as they are. I'm sorry, Mr. President of Egypt. No, we do not. That doesn't mean we're going to step in there every time 2 Arab countries try to behead each other. Go ahead, have at it, buddy. But we will stop feeding you billions of dollars in foreign aid and oil money. It's the only sane thing to do. And let me tell you something else. The only thing that is stopping World War III in the past was mutually assured destruction. That meant that you knew the other guy on the table was sane, and they wouldn't launch missiles to destroy everybody because they knew you would launch them back, and somebody had to live. We also knew that if we were going to destroy each other in an unlimited war, it would collapse the entire global economy, and nobody was crazy enough to do that. Well, guess what? Things have changed. There are people that would like to see the global economy reset and restructured. And there are people crazy enough to believe that they launch missiles and destroy and wash the world in blood. That's when Mohammed comes back. Things have changed. Europe is on financial cliff. America is on the financial cliff. China is on a financial cliff. The whole world is on fire. Let me slow down here for a second. I apologize. Stephanie Cutter's girls might be watching, and I hate to talk about the past or anything like that. Can we get the Cutter cam back on? Maybe the little kids? Oh, there, oh, look at the cat playing the piano. Isn't that cute? Your kids are not better off. Furthermore, they are not safe in the world in the direction that we're going. I cannot tell you that Mitt Romney is going to solve everything and make it go away. I can't. We are in deep trouble. But I can tell you that we must stop, reverse engines, and go on another course. Mitt Romney is not perfect, but he is not steering America into the gates of hell. We have really tough times ahead of us. But only one candidate has a far better chance of getting us out. And you will fully understand that when you see The Project. It airs tomorrow and Thursday night at 8 p.m. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. When you watch it, you will understand. Yes, I'm told even some of the women, Stephanie. A little more detail coming next.